So Hill, as the president, of course, is traveling the country touting hard infrastructure, we know House leadership announcing yesterday they would begin debate on their larger kind of social spending and climate bill today. Where do things stand on that?
That has been the plan in the House, Yasmin, but it appears unlikely to happen today. They seem to be getting overtaken by other events, specifically the censure resolution for the Republican Congressman Paul Gosar that's on the floor of the House today. It may prevent Democrats from officially beginning to debate on the Build Back Better bill today, but Democratic leaders and their aides tell us that they still expect to pass this bill later this week. That leaves Thursday and Friday. They could potentially stay for a weekend, but there's no news about that. They're determined to get this done, and a lot of the tension within the Democratic caucus over the last few months seems to have faded, with the understanding that this fighting has not really helped any of them. They had some devastating election defeat in Virginia. They came perilously close to losing in New Jersey. Democrats want to get this done. They're waiting on information from the Congressional Budget Office, which has been promised by the end of the week. It could land any minute right now. And let's have a listen to what Speaker Pelosi said in selling this bill earlier.
By lowering costs for families, by reducing pollution by 50% by 2030, by creating good-paying union jobs, and to do so with equity, with fairness, to build back better, Over about $500 billion in this legislation to protect the planet. It's a health issue, clean air, clean water for our children. It's a jobs issue, making America preeminent in good-paying green jobs. It's also a national security issue.
Now, the first part of what the Speaker said, lowering costs, that is at the center of a Democratic effort to rebrand this bill in the face of attacks from Republicans, as well as growing concerns among voters about the issue of inflation. They're selling this as a way to lower costs for prescription drugs, lower costs for child care by subsidizing it, lower costs for parents taking care of kids to buy groceries with this expanded child tax credit that they expect to continue. I would expect to hear a lot more of that from Democrats as they try to get this bill to the finish line.
I just want to note one thing. We're actually going to be talking a little bit later on in the show about the censure of Paul Gosar, so we're not going to miss out on that conversation. Obviously, it's an incredibly important one that's happening on the Hill right now. But with that, Hill, while I have you, I do want to talk about the divide inside the Republican Party as well. We know there was a lot of back and forth over the Republicans that supported the passage of the hard infrastructure, a divide, I should say, of course, because the former president urged Republicans not to vote in favor of it in the House. How are they navigating that?
It is a divide, Yasmin, and it has grown quite acrimonious among Republicans. 19 of them voted in the Senate to pass this bill. This is a thoroughly bipartisan bill written by the Democrat Kyrsten Sinema and the Republican Rob Portman, supported by the Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, who, by the way, is not a big fan of giving Democratic presidents victories. He thought this was a good bill. In the House, 13 Republicans voted for it, and some of them were necessary to push this to the finish line, which is part of the reason that there's been so much antagonism fueled by former President Trump. A number of them have gotten menacing calls, threats, death threats, even in the case of Congressman Fred Upton. The Minority Leader, Kevin McCarthy, yesterday asked his members essentially to knock it off in a caucus meeting, to stop attacking each other, to stay unified, and to keep the focus on defeating Build Back Better. That's according to two sources in the room that I spoke to yesterday. Yasmin.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.